like this, it's got to keep going up.
I've been in several things. I was in the drug business and I was in the oil business, but I'm not either one now, you understand?
I happen to run a little business on the side, a sort of sideline. Happens to be a rather confidential sort of thing, but you might make a nice bit of money.
Benjamin Franklin's field.
Welcome to Yellow Brick Road. I am Jordan, and today I'm going to do a fan request video. A fan request of Project Veritas and their expose where they expose Bernie Sanders 2020. But first, please consider donating to Devon's Journey to Recovery. The GoFundMe link is in the description box. If you got $5 or more laying around and you want to donate to a charity, you can at Devon's Journey to Recovery. GoFundMe link in the description box. Alright. So, James O'Keefe is back to his mischievous ways. Actually, this is like a 3-day-old. Right? What is this? Yeah, it's like 3 days old, this video. I haven't been keeping tabs on it. And one of our subscribers has told me I should check this out because I don't know, it'll make me seem, or it'll make me be less biased towards Bernie Sanders, even though I'm not voting for him. I'm not voting for Bernie Sanders, but yet I have a bias for him. So we're going to fix that bias by watching some legitimate, credible news from Project Veritas. Here we go. I'm not watching the whole fucking thing. I already watched it. I watched the other videos. This is the one I picked out. I said, fuck it, why not? I'm not going to play the whole thing, but you know, I'll make summaries in my assessment. Here we go.
So if Trump gets reelected, what?
Cities burned.
I'll straight up get armed.
The gulags and the persecution of the kulaks and things like that are exaggerated.
It is unfortunate.
These guys, they suck at this because there's not much there. When they have something like the Epstein, the ABC News chick, you know, the behind the scenes shit that they had, but that'll get like, you know, some real praise or, you know, attention and stuff. But this is just mediocre, if you ask me. In fact, I would have sniffed them out if they tried to get me on camera saying something. I would have sniffed them out a while ago, even though my answers would probably, you know, hurt their feelings or hurt their philosophies on life. Just saying. But yeah. Obviously, these are clipped, cut. That's not the full context of the discussion, but whatever. Oh, and by the way, they're going to play a little bit of audio of Bernie Sanders. And it's one of the least incriminating sounding things ever, but they're going to play slow piano in order to brainwash people who, I don't know how you fall for this, but apparently they do. People do, somehow. See? It's like, oh, you're just playing politics. And you're hoping that, you know, it'll be taken serious or it'll help Trump win or whatever the fuck your goals are. There we go.
That we have to make plans for extreme action. We don't want to scare people off. So you kind of got to feel it out first before you get into the crazy stuff like Antifa. You know, you're talking about the yellow vests.
It's going to take no.
See that? They're trying to scare their audience with words like Antifa, you know, the Tim Pool audience type of people. They're the same audience. People who watch this and people who watch Tim Pool are probably a similar audience. Any of the scragglers are probably just, you know, I guess the word would be Trump sycophants. I guess that would be the word. We're looking for anything to get a victory for Trump. Even if he goes against all their interests, like openly goes against their interests, still have to find some way. It's the lesser of two evils now. Before it was glory and righteousness. Now it's look at the other side. Look how evil they are. Meanwhile, some of these people watch this channel, and I told them months ago, like, you guys are turning into Hillary Clinton voters. Actually, it might be a year now. Might be more than months. Might be like a year. maybe at least a year ago, where I'm like, you guys are turning into Hillary Clinton voters.
Oh, yeah, too.
Where it's like, yeah, but if the other guy wins, it'll be worse. Do you want World War III? Now you guys are doing that with Donald Trump. You've seen all this shitty policy go by, and now you're looking like, huh, if Bernie wins, it's the less of two evils. Vote for Trump. You know, I don't agree with everything Trump does, but it's better than the evil Democrats. But yeah, listen for the Bernie quote.
And if necessary, just destroy property.
I think it's also fair to point out that when we were in Moscow, for example, people here also were extremely impressed by their public transportation system.
Whoa. Whoa. I know. Whoa. They're hoping you're fooled by just him saying the word Soviet Union or saying Russia or something like that. Alright? It's the other version of red baiting. The corporate Democrats have been red baiting for how long against Donald Trump and about the election and all that. I wonder if you guys are going to do that this upcoming election. I wonder if there's going to be a new Russiagate, except you're going to turn it on Bernie Sanders and say, look, he represents the old Soviet Union. Listen to this quote. He said he likes the public transportation. It's so weak sauce. Which is why you guys don't last here. And usually, like, I don't mind having you around. It's just you end up losing all your arguments. Like, every single one. Not even, like, not even anything. On any topic, really. We'll go into entertainment. It's like, nothing for us. This is why I'm not going to make it through the entire video. Here we go. I'll let it play longer.
Meet Daniel Taylor and Mason Baird, both field organizers for the Sanders campaign in South Carolina, and the next two subjects of our undercover investigation of extreme radicalism inside the Sanders campaign.
I canvassed with someone who's like an anarchist, and I canvassed with someone who's more of a Marxist-Leninist, and so we tracked radical, like truly radical people to the campaign. But that's obviously not like outward-facing sort of.
Right. And Bernie, does he know that?
Well, I think the goal is just to build a build a coalition of people, and a lot of those people who.
Wait. Did they skip something, or is there an unedited version of this? Maybe I should be watching that, the unedited version. Where he's like, and then whoosh, a lot of people talk about blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, what did he say there? It's not cool.
Who do that kind of work are their politics fall well outside of the American sort of norm. So they're Marxist-Leninists, they're anarchists, they're these types of folks, and they have more of a mind for direct action, for engaging in politics outside of the electoral system.
Now, the people I've heard from that seem like they would fall into that category only look at Bernie as a stepping stone to move something in a direction. They're also probably a minority. I'm sure they're a minority. But, whatever wins you the election, you call Bernie Sanders, he's a socialist, right? But these guys will say, he's not one of us. I've heard in other videos, they're calling him left of center. I think Kyle Kalinske calls him, he's actually a centrist, if you look at it, really. Right? The balanced values of each side of the political spectrum all into one thing. I think that's how Kyle Kalinske looks at him. But, when it's convenient, when it helps your team win, you will call the other side whatever names you can, right? Wasn't Obama a socialist? Wasn't Jesse Lee Peterson saying, Obama's socialist? Obama socialist. Like, how's that? Obama phones. Amazing. So they'll say whatever names they got to win an election, which is creepy and underhanded. And I usually call you out for what you do. Here we go.
Here we think of, gulags being sent off to Russia, to Siberia, and lock you up, throw away the key. And they were saying that is such a misconception. They're like re-education camps. Mm-hmm. Do you know anything about that?
Pardon me. I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's.
So this is her trying to catch him and what some other dude said, right? One of the other 5 people out of all the supporters, volunteers, and field organizers for Bernie Sanders. They got 4 or 5 of them or something, maybe 6. So that's a lot. It's 0.001% of them. But actually, it's probably less than that. But anyways, here's his response to that, right? Now, like I said, I would have sniffed her out a minute ago. Who the fuck are you? What is he? What is this? I'm going to start recording you. You answer my questions now. But, I'm different.
It's interesting because I think at least my reading of kind of that Cold War era is that you had 2 massive, you had these huge opposing ideologies and empires and superpowers, and when you have that much power, each side is going to do everything it can to control a narrative and to sort of have its own truth, to support its sort of power structure and things like that.
So he's saying both sides were probably power-hungry dipshits. So both sides are going to try to control history, to control the narrative, to make them look like the good guys and the other guys the bad guys. It's called propaganda, right?
And so I think that if we pay attention to the lived experience of people in post-Soviet states and in Russia and things like that, then we do find that, a lot of the stories were told in the United States about, the gulags and the persecution of the kulaks and things like that are exaggerated. I think there were certainly excesses and certain, our own American empire has its own excesses, of course. So I think, I think that it's probably exaggerated on our side, and maybe there's also a little bit of over justification or excuses for the excesses that probably did occur, but we certainly don't have a straight perspective on that stuff here in America.
Now here comes a guy who sounded like, I don't really know that much. But from what I heard, it's probably an exaggerated story when they talk about it in the United States, because the United States has to look like the good guys and they have to look like the bad guys. Or at the very least, they have to look like the worst guys. They have to look worse than us, regardless, right? That sounded like what he was saying. And it sounded like he also was saying, the other side's doing the same thing with us, saying whatever shit the United States has done, they're gonna, hype it up in order to make them, look like the better choice. And once again, dumb people will pick a team and 5 million people may have died. Say, okay. Now, what was this an argument of? Did you show the other side of what he just said? Anything the U.S. has done? Oh, no, because this guy is also on a team. The James O'Keefe and his teammates, his actual, working teammates, they're all teammates of the United States and the State Department. We've seen this already, right? Or, more leaning towards, George Bush Republicans, neocons. I would say this dude would lean towards neocons, but I could be wrong about that. He might just lean toward normal Republicans, which is also just as bad. If you're gonna, as far as team playing and all that shit.
This hasn't worked. We've tried it for 3 years. He's still there and he gets stronger.
Well, for me...
See, if I hear that shit, I'm like, do you know about this, this? And then she's stuck there. And it's like, oh, I'll make sure to edit that out. Now, what about the gulags? How about those? He's still getting stronger. He's so muscular and strong. How do we deal with such a powerful force? Like, who are you, lady? The freak? Do you know what this dude's done? This dude, what'd you say? He can't touch his toes?
No.
Trump?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably sweats walking.
Here we go.
Personally, I have no problem going all in on
Bernie
campaign stuff because
bends his spine.
you need people to understand that the things that we're fighting for are things we should have had all along. But for a lot of people, it seems extreme because it never has been. You know, a lot of the social programs that we're pushing are things that other countries have had for a long time, but we've never had. Like the whole socialist thing 4 years ago was a lot more toxic than it is today. I think people are finally starting to realize that maybe it's not such a bad thing.
What's troubling is
Oh, that just sounds like Bernie Sanders' platform. Like, we should have universal health care because look at all these other countries that are already doing it. Why are we so far behind? Why are we making our citizens pay more than everyone else? And then the dude's right. Those ideas would have been shouted away by the mainstream, normal, corporate Republicans and Democrats. Right? But now things are different, as in people are like, fuck that. Youth, especially, they're like, whoa, these guys have been lying to us our whole lives. Or, excuse me, they've been lying to us for our parents' whole lives. Like, I'm not buying that shit. I have the internet. I can learn. I can research shit. But for these guys, that's something damning. Just like Bernie Sanders saying, oh, I like that they have public transportation. To them, that means, oh, see, he likes Soviet Russia. Because they're idiots. Well, I would suspect that this guy's probably a charlatan. I don't know enough about him. I don't look too much into him. He's probably a charlatan. But the people who follow him are most likely dumbasses. Let's play a little bit more. I mean, I'm telling you. Maybe I'll skip somewhere near the middle so that no one can say, oh, he skipped over the most damning parts. Let's find it. Let's find something. Yeah, let's start here, I guess. Let's see. Alright, sorry, I'm just not organized at all. This is honestly me just saying, you know what, fuck it. I'll go over the fucking video. Why not? Yeah, it's run a little bit.
Kind of keeping that in the back burner for right now.
He was talking about putting everyone in enslavement camps. In FEMA camps. That's what he said right there.
You think that when Bernie's elected and now you've got all those Trump people, and we're talking, I mean, that was a pretty tight split. So you've got almost half the country that are haters. How
do these dudes not sniff her out as a fucking narc? How the fuck? You just have haters. It's like, what? How old are you? What did you say? I would have sniffed her out a minute ago. Come on, son. Half the country, they're just haters. I'm like, what the fuck? You're going to offer me like a fucking crack pipe now? Freeze!
are you going to tame that beast? What are you going to do with them?
Tame
I mean, you need something
savages.
really radical. What you're proposing is great, and I agree with you. The best thing is by example, but that takes forever. I mean, these people are angry.
Yeah.
They're not going to...
Yeah.
You kind of see her like pressuring him into saying something, but whatever. Fair game. If you're a puss, you can't handle pressure. That's on you.
I mean, it is a huge source of anxiety for me. So, it's like, that's definitely.
But like, I think we have to think in those ways,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. And it's with my family too. I mean, it's like, within my family that I have this kind of
Trumpites,
confronted by that kind of stuff, and not even explicitly Trump people, just that they if push came to shove, they would go that way. And that is
like Trump bots.
It's sort of it's going to take
exactly.
It's going to take militancy.
That's how I'm feeling.
How do we do it?
Militant labor movement is kind of our last real kind of chance before we.
Hold on, real quick. By the way, militant labor movement means you grab your guns and you demand jobs. That's what that means.
We try other
means,
and I just don't see it as that. An empire's never been sort of toppled through internal struggle, so it's like I don't really see that working out.
Where do we have all this momentum? Where do we go after it's over, regardless of the outcome? Because it's not gonna. I feel like change is not gonna happen easily, regardless. Even if Bernie is elected, change will not come swiftly or easily. So we have to, the connections that we're making now within the campaign and with other volunteers and at events. It's very important that we retain that, regardless of the outcome. And it is unfortunate that we have to make plans for extreme action, but like I said, they're not going to give it to us, even if Bernie is elected.
Barrett is so extreme, he speaks as if it's common knowledge Sanders will, quote, abolish landlords, unquote, and even compares Sanders' revolution to the Russian Revolution of 1917. He seems to think that even though he'd like less bloodshed, armed struggle is inevitable.
Doesn't he sound like a charlatan? Let's be real. But yeah, I don't think these guys have any intentions of being violent. I think what they're saying is what's most likely going to happen, which is something I've said before. Which is, if you constantly screw people over, at some point they're going to revolt. That's just my opinion on things. That's what I think would happen. I said, expect people in the streets. Doesn't mean people out there with fucking machetes and AKs. I mean, they're going to have signs and rallies and shit. You're going to have a small enclave of dumbasses that will wear a mask and try to destroy buildings and shit like that. It's like, yeah, guys, that seems to be in all these fucking movements, right? But I don't know. Maybe people are so fucking locked into their team mentality that they're not looking at things. There's serious brainwashing happening to where it's you're going to have to see something horrific for you to wake up from it. And I'm just going to be real with you, nature's movement is, I think, to wake you up. Here's another opportunity. He's not taking it. All right, blow the car up. He won't ignore that shit. It's my woo-woo-ness coming out, by the way. Do the work or accept the repercussions. How about that?
After we abolish landlords, we don't have to kill them. You know what I'm saying? That's my feeling. I think that's damaging to the soul.
It's almost like preaching against violence. But then again, I don't know what this person said prior to that. Right? Because there's a lot of cuts here, right? A lot of fade-ins and fade-outs. I do editing. I do audio editing. I know what fade-ins and fade-outs sound like. Right? You'll hear the muffled background like an office space without soundproof walls and shit. Or if you're in an office setting, you'll hear background noise. When you hear that fade out, that means the audio was cut there, and now they moved on to a different set of audio. Just saying. But I don't think these guys want violence at all. But in fact, they sound like right-wingers, right? Well, if the government wants to do this, well, we have our guns and the Second Amendment for a reason. There's plenty of other dudes on the other team that have that mentality. Duh. Also, something I just remembered. I did a video, actually, yesterday, talking about George Wallace, the Alabama segregationist dude, right? And Bernie Sanders' quote about him. Like, take that with what Bernie Sanders said about the public transportation in Soviet Russia, and then take what Bernie Sanders said about George Wallace. Like, well, at the very least, he's listening to what his people want. Oh, they seem to have all right public transportation. It's like, isn't that the shit I try to tell other people to do? Like, make an assessment and then piece it out from there. Like, this guy's a dipshit segregationist. But at least it seems like he cares about this. Like he genuinely cares about this or believes this is the way to go. He's an idiot, but there's some sort of real volition happening there. But no, if you make an assessment, that means you support them. You love them and you're voting for them if you do that. Remember that. It's like, that chair is red. What do you like chairs now? What? Huh? You like red, don't you? Fucking god damn it.
But there you go, Micah. Yeah, there were
like
plenty of excesses in 1972 that I would hope to avoid.
But like,
I admire
see,
it.
I'm very, like I said, I'm very black and white. I see things in very binary terms, and I just see a big clash happening, and it's going to be a power struggle. And power struggles are not nice. You don't talk your way out of them.
No,
it's the strong.
Yeah, you can.
It's the law of the jungle.
Right.
No, it's not.
So how do you jungle up?
I think it goes back again for me. It's like labor. I think that's a big source of power for us.
Hey, Mike with the
and to try to gain as much leverage and power.
Are you Miss Sandra?
In the short time that we have before.
Take care. 1917 Redux.
Right, because it's really incredible. Lenin didn't have the internet. They weren't. They were a peasant society. It was like, so, I would hope that that we would, we'd be doing a bunch of prep work, right, before the capitalists got hip to what we were doing, I guess. That's kind of the best. I'm not excited about the prospect of armed struggle. So that's.
But don't you see it? Do you see it as inevitable or not?
I see it as possible.
Huh?
I see it as possible.
Yeah.
You do?
Oh yeah.
I just never want to kill.
I says I never want to kill him. Blah blah blah. So yeah, you can hear when he was saying that stuff, right? And he brings up labor as that's what he means by power, and she's like, "Law of the jungle, power struggle, right? Those don't end well." And he's saying we need to get this in before the capitalists catch on to us. It's like he means labor movements and unions and whatnot. So, you can hear the lady fishing to try and get him to say something. This reminds me, I don't know if anyone's watched I remember the first season of Making a Murderer. I think that's the name of it. To where you can see the detectives interrogating this dude who's not that smart. And they just get him to say whatever they want. Like, just say you did it and you'll get to go home. He's like, okay, I did it. Lock him up. That's what happened, right? So you can see her trying to like kind of like trying to bait, to where these guys would probably rather be talking about like organizing labor movements and shit. But it's Soviet. Yeah, and that's gonna conclude me watching this fucking shit. And I don't know what to tell someone. I mean, I don't see the crazy shit you're seeing when you watch this. I don't. I don't see the, oh my God, this is Bernie's entire movement. This is what it is. Like, I don't know. Catching people in bars, talking shit, talking about, you know, his life, and my parents were Marxists and all that, and his girlfriend's rolling her eyes like, fuck out of here. I mean, I don't know. There's too many, like, people signals happening that I can't ignore. Just being honest with you. Dude's right in his words. He's scared of like hurting someone. When these guys talk about like things getting crazy, I think they mean like, you know, lighting cars on fire or, you know, destroying businesses and whatnot, which is also fucking stupid. It's very stupid. But you know, in order for these fucking team players to feel like they're clearly threatened by Bernie Sanders, I think they see it. I think they see the writing on the wall where it's like, oh, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. So they will grasp at anything to get a leg up, and it's just not working. This is not working. I'm just being honest with you. This is not going to help you. Going around telling people about, look what Bernie's campaign, I'll play the videos for you. It's not going to work. Because normal people are just using their normal people senses, and there's like, I don't know, I'm just looking at the guy's body language. Doesn't seem like he's, it seems like he means something else, you know? That's how I read it. But, yeah, you tell me. Tell me in the comments section. Don't forget to donate. Don't forget to, subscribe if you like. Don't forget to donate. Devon's Journey to Recovery. GoFundMe link in the description box. Comment. Tell me I'm right, I'm wrong. You tell me. I'm sure someone's going to send me a bunch of information on James O'Keefe. Like, here's the creepy shit this guy has done. And it's like, yeah. Look at that. Look at that. I'm not surprised. That's what happens with team players. There's too many weaknesses to fucking, you know, poke at. Pause. All right, that's it from me. Like I said, don't forget to donate. Devon's Journey to Recovery. GoFundMe link in the description box. With all that said, give this video a thumbs down.
Say you want to get in, and then you want to get out. When you get the money to buy yourself a castle, how will you wear your leisure? You zipper back and front on the fence together. Weekends and what?